Hey, Annissa here with Firehouse Education and this week's Ask Annissa video column. And this week our question came from YouTube and a comment on one of my videos. And the question came in from Paul. And Paul said, "Good info, thank you. Since we are new in Contents Restoration Department, we have a question. How can you do an estimate for contents if the house is packed with all kinds of household items? Homeowners and adjusters are asking for estimates before pack out. Do you have a video regards that question?" Well, yes, Paul. Yes, I do have a video, and here it is. Actually, I do think I have a couple other videos on the channel. I'll look for that if I can find them. I'll put a link in the comments below talking about estimating. But this is really tricky. So there's a couple things I want to talk about here right off the bat, and especially if you're new to content. So an adjuster asking for an estimate, they're often trying to do what's called setting a reserve, which they're actually legally have to do, so that they can say, hey, it's, we've had a loss, it's going to be approximately this much for contents I need to set aside, and this much for structure or reconstruction, repair, mitigation that I need to set aside. So they're actually required by law to set a reserve. So they're trying to get an idea of that because they have a certain amount of time. They have to get that reserve set right away, okay? So that's usually why the adjuster is asking. For a homeowner, they're asking because, well, this is potentially, hopefully, the first time they've ever dealt with this, and they don't understand where, how all the money's working, and they want to make sure that their insurance company is covering what you're saying it's going to cost to take care of their contents. All right. So that being said, oftentimes, if we can talk with the adjuster and the adjuster sets a reserve, it will often reassure the homeowner that everything's okay, policy limits are good, and that sort of thing. So sometimes that kind of relieves that tension from the homeowner. And you know what? Sometimes a homeowner is just asking for an estimate because they're wanting to get a check from their insurance company. That does happen. Doesn't happen very often, I don't believe, but it can. So that being said, estimating a contents job is really, really tough. And the biggest thing you're going to need to be able to do this correctly is experience, unfortunately. I can walk into a job and pretty much go, okay, that's going to be $35,000. Laundry is probably going to be around $18,000. Pack out's going to be $11,000 roughly. And I always estimate, and I say approximately. Don't ever give a hard number when you do get to the point where you're giving numbers. But without having experience and going out and having some jobs under your belt, that makes it a little tough. So a couple things that I would suggest to you. One is, if you have other contents jobs that you have done, be analyzing those jobs. Average. Take a look at how many boxes that you had, how many hours that you worked on the job, and get an average for how much that job costs. So it gives you a little bit of like starting base point. The other thing is, if there's a restoration company that maybe you're friends with or associated with in a trade network, that maybe they're willing to share some of their content estimates with you that you could take a look at and get an idea for how, again, how many boxes, how many hours, what the processing was. Now, that being said, if there's a job where I have lots and lots of household things, I've done jobs where literally there was not more than 2 inches of any given space on a wall not covered with knick-knack or bric-a-brac or decor, or I've done many hoarder homes, which I know some of you have probably delved into. Maybe you haven't yet, being new, but don't worry, you'll get there. A home that's in a hoarder situation, that is not anything I would remotely estimate, and I would have a big mondo conversation with my adjuster on scene if that's what I'm coming into, because we're going to have a conversation about understanding that is definitely going to cost. That's not going to be a normal type of content job, okay? So when you are dealing with the contents as well, and you're talking about estimating, you've got 2 different scenarios, right? You've got the pack out and the clean, and packed back in storage, and then you've got the ones that are just the clean in places. So those again would be two very different types of jobs that if you could get a look at some estimates, that would really help you out, I think, to be able to, like I said, take a look, get kind of a base established. But unfortunately, I don't have a magic formula for you or a magic answer in regards to that estimating. It really does take some experience. It's one of the biggest things that I actually teach in my class is how to identify items. How to identify, are they high-priced items? How to identify, you know, are items special handle? So if you have a specialty item, then, you know, that's going to be higher price. That's not just a standard, obviously buy the box or buy the item set price, like say an Exactimate or a time and material situation. That's probably going to be a bid item. So you kind of need to be familiar with those types of items and what to look for to identify them, and to know, you know, when you walk into a home, okay, that's crystal there, or that's, you know, that's Mikasa. You need to be able to educate yourself, if you will, on the types of contents that people have in their houses. And by the way, this also depends. Another reason why I couldn't just give you a formula, it depends on where you do your restoration work. Are you restoring homes in Beverly Hills, or are you restoring homes, you know, in Cypress, California? Are you restoring homes in, you know, Athol, Idaho, or restoring homes downtown Seattle, Washington? Very vast difference depending on the part of the country that you're in, or country that you're in, as far as values of items. Okay, so there's that. The other thing I want to talk about is, you know, especially, I know I mentioned, you said in your email or your comment that there was a lot of household items, and I talked about like a hoarder house. When you get into some situations where there's just mass amount of contents, if it has been a medium to heavy fire, you're going to have to be able to determine what items can you even clean, right? You need to be able to walk on the job site and say, okay, yeah, this room is pretty much going to be a destroyed, I believe, or I don't think there's much I can do with this room, or this item, you know, due to this kind of damage, it's not able to be cleaned. And that is just going to come from experience and or training, which again is one of the big things that I teach in my contents course that I have. So, you know, you're going to have to get some experience under your belt. Like I said, if you've got somebody in the industry, maybe another friend that does content restoration that's willing to even let you go on a job, that would be fabulous. And you're going to need to do some research. Do yourself a favor and Google some of these things and really find out what different items can cost to replace. Okay. All right. Well, I hope that answered your question. I know I didn't exactly give you a straight answer, but that's not really a question that you can give a straight answer to. I will go look on the channel, and I will see if I've got some more videos that I can post down in the description. So maybe you can go, I can directly point you to those that'll help you with some of that, like talking about logging destroyed items on a job. So, you know, in order to give that estimate, you've got to have two parts of the education and training, right? Experience, which is the destroyed items, so you can tell what's salvageable and what's not. And the other is valuing of items and having an idea of base of how many boxes or how many hours that it would take to process a job. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for the comment and question. Please be sure and email me your questions, Annissa@firehouseeducation.com, and be one of those super cool kids. Be subscribed to rnrmagonline.com's e-newsletter so you get this and lots of other goodies in your email inbox. And if you're on the YouTube channel, give me a thumbs up. And if you're not on the YouTube channel, you should hop on over to youtube.com, type in Firehouse Education, subscribe to my channel, ring that little bell so you get notification when I put up new goodies.